Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Today I was going to bring you issues 57 to 59. However, I can't find the parts for issue 57. There were two bags, I know that much, because I have one of them. However, this is not all we're doing today. There was a couple of other bits we needed. So I might not be able to do anything with that one. But I will do 58 and 59. Again, not much to do. We do have the starting of the coupling rods, and we're going to be pretty much doing the same thing for both of those issues. So I need to try and source another issue 57 and see if I can get the parts for that, and that will probably come at a later point in this build. Luckily, it doesn't hold us up in any way. I think it is just the crank pins for the center wheels. It does mean that we're not going to need the chassis at all today. We are just going to be doing these. I will give you a flick through all the magazines as I normally do, including issue 57. But let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great. Starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, so issue 57. Ignore everything I said in the intro, because they must print these, or they must have printed them when they were being done, pretty much in real time. Because the bits I thought we were missing are these bits here. Okay, now if you look here, we've got a sprue. So as you expect, I was expecting a sprue and two brass pieces. These are the parts. So quick glance, I assumed that those were the two brass bits that I had, and I did write on it 2 of 2. Those are actually these crank pins, and these two parts are the parts we actually got. Well, we didn't get them. In issue 41, we had a letter saying that these two parts would come later, which is the bogey pivot and the screw to fix it. So being proactive, obviously I had that letter saying in issue 57 you're going to get them supplied. I just grabbed them from issue 57. So they're already fitted to the chassis, so they're not missing at all. So we can do this, and we can do these crank pins. So as I said, ignore everything I said in the intro. But beyond these 3 issues, everything else I've got should, in theory, be sealed up. These are the only parts I've ever checked. So here we are, just obviously putting crank pins in. We've got a couple of spaces that we need to test. That does seem to be a couple of things I'm missing, and I think they might have been supplied in the previous issue as well. So we're checking those on the front ones, and now I know I've done that when I've done all the wheels. I've checked those bushings fit, so I'm not going to worry about doing that. And as you can see, it showed a sprue, but these are definitely not on a sprue. Where we need to cut them off. We need to take off the rear, the center wheels, and we need to make sure the screw those in. If you remember, we die tapped the center wheels, and then we're fitting this bogey pivot, which we've already done in issue 41. We've got Britain's Railways, and we've got Classic Locomotives. I'll flick through all the magazines so we can go through that now. So 58, we've got the coupling rods, and I think 58 and 59 are pretty much identical. Possibly just opposite sides, not sure. But this is just a case of taking all of these off. We need to drill out several holes. Obviously, I'll do all that off camera and make sure those are all the right size holes. And we're just basically just lining and sandwiching them up and gluing them together. Looks like we've got a little bit of bending to do. Now, I remember doing this for the Flying Scotsman which I do need to get on with again at some point and figure out where I am with that. But gluing all these coupling rods together. Got classic locomotives and Great Railway Journeys. And in 59, very, very similar. We have more coupling rods, and yeah, these do say left hand, the other one said right hand. And as you can see, pretty much the same thing, same process, just sandwich them together, glue them up, and then we got a couple of bits of bending to do, so pretty much identical. So it shouldn't take too long to do these. We've got Mallard Story and Britain's Railways. Right, so we've got our chassis, as I said, and we are going to be putting in the crank pins. Now, I have just done one, because the first thing it says is actually remove these wheels, but you don't need to at all. They will go in absolutely fine without removing the wheels. One thing it does suggest, which is an absolutely brilliant idea, use a pin vise, and we'll just place that in like so. Now you'll see that this has basically a threaded section, and it comes up to like a shoulder. So we want to make sure that threaded section and the shoulder is fully out. And as I said, we don't need to remove the wheels at all. So obviously we've threaded these holes, or made a thread in these holes, and it's just a case of making sure it goes in straight, and then just start screwing that in. Now obviously this is plastic that we're going into, so it'll be easy to cross thread it from where we threaded it previously. So just want to be careful, take your time, and just go in gently, and just watch where you're going up to. And certainly if you're planning on running this model, then you want to make sure those are in nice and secure, and obviously straight. So we've got that one in like that. So that's both of those in there. And that's actually all there is to do for stage 57. So we're going to put that to one side. And we're going to go with move on to stage 58, which are these coupling rods. Right, so we've got a few points in here that we need to make holes either bigger or make sure they're the right size. So we've only got one that's 1.1 millimeter, which is going to be this one here. So that's that one. Now, I've said it before, if you're going to make holes in metal, always start with your smaller bit, because you can always make a hole bigger. You can't easily make a hole smaller. Right, moving on to a 1.7 millimeter bit. We've got a few of these ones to make. Make sure you're looking at the sprue the right way around. And it looks like it's going to be this one, and this one. And again, putting it on a block of wood will help, and it means you don't damage your workbench. Now, I am leaving all this drilling in, because obviously there are various different ones to do. That's all the 1.7s. Now we've got 2.6. Now I don't seem to have a 2.6 millimeter drill bit. So this is actually a 2.5 millimeter, and I'm just going to use a file to file out anything that I need to. But we've got quite a few of these. Now this might even already fit, because it's a point smaller, and therefore I won't do anything, because we've got that one, that one, that one, and we've got these ones over here as well. Now what I plan to do, I think, because that fits very nicely, when it comes to putting these on drill bits and lining them all up, because I'm sure that's what we need to do for these, I'll use the smaller drill bit, and then when they're all together, I can use a file to make sure that they all fit and clear properly. Likewise, I can't find the 3.3mm drill bit, so I've only got a 3, and again, that's going to fit through no problem at all. And so I use that one as well. So now we've got all those holes done, we just need to cut these parts out, ready for gluing together. One thing I do like about these magazines is that you can actually rip them apart. So we've got all our parts labelled there nicely, and then without having to flick back and forth to find out where these parts are and which parts are which, because some obviously do look very similar, you can easily have them side by side and you can just double check, which is why when I take things out of the fret like that, as I've said before, it's good to have them laid out in the way it is set out, because it makes part identification much easier. So we're going to start off with E8, which is this one. And then we got E7, which is this one. Now, you can see that they do have two different holes on the end, so you want to make sure that they are lined up correctly, like so. And then we've got E6, which is this one, and that's going on top, like that. Now I'm just going to get this drill bit, just going to go through there, and that's going to help us line everything up. We've got one more piece to go onto this sandwich, and that is E9, which I believe is this one. Yes. So we've got that all laid up like so. Now all we need to do is make sure they are all aligned, and then we just need to run some glue around the edge, and that will glue them all together. Now you probably notice I haven't cleaned up the edges too much at the minute. I'm going to do that all as a one in a moment. Okay, so this is a much better way of doing it. I've used the file in that end because it's a bit tighter. I've put a drill bit in this end with the right size, and I've just clamped them together, which is going to hold it all together while I just run this bit of glue down the edge here. And then we'll just do it down this one. Now you notice that I've left that one off for the minute. I'll put that one on at the end. It is more important that we get these lined up first. And it also means that with the clamp on there, it doesn't matter if that happens. The clamp is now holding them exactly where I need him. And I will run a little bit of glue on the inside to make sure that is nice and secured together, like so. Now we've got the majority of those together. Going to utilise the file again, and we'll just place this one on the end. Again, make sure that one's lined up. Obviously that one's a little bit more difficult because we don't have this bar to make sure that it all lines up. And just going to touch the glue on the edge there. And that'll be enough to secure this one in place as well. And we've pretty much got the same thing to do with these parts here. So we have E4, E3, which is a shorter one without the hole on the end. And we have E2, which is the one with the detail on the front. And that does have a hole both ends. And then we finish this one off with E1, which is this piece here. And again, I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. Which one, use my file. that hold all those together. Use my drill bit in this end. Once I'm happy with the shape, I'll just grab a clamp, that'll hold it all together, and we're ready for gluing. It doesn't matter if the drill bit comes out, we have the clamp holding them all together correctly, like so. Again, just going to run glue down the edge, and that'll seep in between all the layers. Obviously with this, you're going to want to use quite a runny glue. The thick glue obviously won't do as good a job. But this is a nice thin glue, and it's going to seep in between all these layers nicely. So you have that one looking just like that. We do obviously need to add this final ring on the end here. Again, making sure that it is nicely lined up with that edge. And we're just going to touch a little bit of glue on the end there. And that is what that one is looking like. So we can leave the clamp on there while that dries up. Once that's all dried up, we are just going to basically just go over the outside of this with a file, making sure it's all nice and shiny, all cleaned up. Any excess glue is removed, and we make sure all these holes are nicely filed out as well. Make sure they're all the right size. But I'll do that once all the glue is dried. So just leave those to one side. I'm going to now turn our attention to these two brackets that we need to form. I've noticed we've not used this piece at all. This is labelled E5 in the instructions, but as you can see, we've got a couple of pieces left over. E14, this rod, etc., which I've left in here. I've just noticed we've got that piece as well, but they're not mentioned in the instructions. So that was just having a look. So we had E10 and E5, both of which are not labelled in the instructions for gluing all these up. And then nothing there. As you can see, we just need to file those, make them look nice. But then they're not labelled in that section as well as spares. But I'm going to put them in a bag, leave them as spares, and maybe we'll use them at a future point. And they just missed them off in this instructions. But next thing I'm going to be doing is, as I say, concentrate on these brackets. And this is quite simply a case of just doing some bending. We got the little detail there, we need to bend upwards, like so. And same with this end as well. Just bend it upwards, like so. And then you'll notice on the back, we've got two other lines. We just basically need to bend those 90 degrees and 90 degrees. And we want to make these little like U brackets. I'll make sure that they sit nice and flat on the desk, like so. Do the exact same thing for this one. So the detail facing upwards, we're going to bend that one up. Same with this one. And then turn it over, and we're going to bend these pieces up to 90 degrees as well, making another U bracket like so. So as you can see, we've got the details of the rivets just there on the top, and both of them sit on the desk nicely. And that is all there's to do in that stage. As I said, we've got these two pieces left over which weren't mentioned in the instructions, but we do have these parts left over, and again I've left them in the sprue because I knew we weren't using them. So we've got this rod and this washer. Right, so we've got all the bits for the left hand side now done, and now all it's a case of doing is just using a file, and we'll just basically clean up all the edges. And the idea is we're making this look a little bit more like one piece. Now, I'm not going to make you watch loads and loads of filing because this is the last step to do here. But if I just do this one on camera, and then you'll be able to see the idea of what we're looking for. So now we've got all those shiny all lined up, and it's starting to look a bit more like one piece. Basically, we've got to do that for all four of the rods. Again, going to keep all these parts safe and secure until the next issue. And you might want to keep changing to the next issue because, as I say, all the other parts are completely packed. So we've got a complete mystery coming up soon. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button down below and give me a massive thumbs up. Not much to do today, but it's another stage done, and we're now going to be moving on to more of the mystery of parts, because all the rest of the parts are not checked. They're all sealed up. Obviously, I've checked all the parts that we've had open so far. Obviously, not very well with that bit of drama at the beginning with issue 57, where I completely forgot that I'd nicked him out of 57 to do issue 41. But never mind. I've actually got another thank you to say. Thank you to all my watchers and my subscribers. This channel has hit another milestone, and you'll notice below there's a new button that's appeared, and that button is join. Now you can become a member to the channel. There is a very small fee to that, and there isn't anything there at the moment, but what I will be doing, depending on the interest, is doing some behind the scenes videos, maybe of projects that are currently in flight that are not good enough yet for a full YouTube video. The other thing that will be there is weekly. This video, the Mallard, is filmed on a Sunday. I film it and edit it on a Sunday, so it's ready for Monday morning. Now, members will get to see that on the Sunday evening as I edit and release it. So that will be there on a weekly basis. As I said, hopefully some behind the scenes footage too. If you don't want to be a member, that's absolutely fine. But there's about 60% of people that view this video that are not subscribed. The subscription costs you absolutely nothing. So if you are not subscribed yet, please do remember to hit the subscribe button by clicking the button down below, and it really does help the channel out. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.